Appeals court judges heard arguments today on whether or not Ottawa County's health officer rightfully holds her seat. The county's attorney argues that she does not. Adeline Hambley's attorney, of course, says that, well, she does.
Yeah, the judge's decision could have a significant implication here. Our Matt Whitkus joins us live in the studio with a recap from court and how this factors into a much bigger legal battle. Matt.
Yes, so the judges, Max and Josh, they say they plan to have a decision soon, but it's not clear on how long they'll take. For almost an hour today, we got to hear them ask questions as both attorneys work to prove their right on Hambley's status as health officer.
I see the subsequent board doing exactly the same thing as the prior board.
Michigan Court of Appeals judges hearing arguments Wednesday over whether Adeline Hambley is Ottawa County's health officer. It's one piece of a larger lawsuit filed by Hambley against a county and board of commissioners. She claims they wrongfully demoted her with the goal of firing her.
It stands to reason, given the sequencing of the way the motion was made, approval, then DHHS approval, then the background check, that board approval was first, not last. Am I misreading that?
Ottawa County's corporate counsel, the Coleman Legal Group, argues she wasn't properly appointed by the previous board, while Hambley's attorney said she was.
There was a discussion about needing to vote to appoint her, and that, of course, happened when they took the vote. It's a strained interpretation of a motion that's made orally, and of course, the whole reason why they use written resolutions on a regular basis is to be clear about what they're voting on and what they're deciding.
And they had to have MDHHS approval prior to appointing Ms. Hambley. And again, Judge, the Youngkin case that we cite in our brief, I think, speaks to this. It's not the court's position to look at something that a legislative body does and decide whether or not it makes sense or is logical to the court.
The judges also spent time questioning the attorneys on their cases.
What you're suggesting is the equivalent of digging back into legislative history or comments made during the course of a debate on the floor to override what the ultimate act is when the legislature, for example, passes a bill. And I don't see why we would accept that invitation to create chaos.
Judge Christopher Yates also asked the county's attorney, David Coleman, about the board's actions on January 3rd, the day the new commissioners were sworn in, like the vote to name Nathaniel Kelly as the county's administrative health officer.
But wait. On January 3rd, the new commission appointed somebody else before they had approval from MDHHS. Was that an unlawful act?
No, because they did it differently, Judge. They put in Ms. Hambley as the interim health officer because of the fact that there was no permanent officer at that point.
I was pleased that the judges had obviously, they're well prepared and know the issues, and we're hopeful that we'll get a result that will permit us to continue the status quo, but we'll just have to see what happens.
Wednesday's court hearing comes just weeks before a planned removal hearing, where county commissioners will consider 4 charges against Hambley. She's accused of incompetence, misconduct, and neglect of duty during the county's budgeting process.
I think she opposed the budget cuts and made some public statements that were deemed to have been insubordinate. Is that fair to say?
Well, I don't know so much insubordinate, but just false and misleading and causing panic and problems in the community by giving the community false information.
Hambley's attorney wants a decision from the judges before that hearing can take place.
We know what they've intended since day one, and so it's really hard to have a lot of faith in this commission as an impartial decider of the facts, given all of the statements they've made since the beginning that what they want to do is install their own person.
The judges explain they understand the gravity and timing of this case.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you both, counsel and those in the audience, for your time. This matter is being submitted, and we will have a response to you very shortly.
We did reach out to the Coleman Legal Group about today's court hearing. We were told they will put out a statement once there's a ruling. Live in studio, I'm Matt Whitkus, Fox 17 News.